Hi everyone, hope you all doing good in your preparations. Right, so today we are going to discuss a new unit, ratio and proportions. So before I start ratio and proportion, if people are watching on YouTube, do like, share and subscribe it for more videos. And those who are on the live classes, please be there, be active, and let's get started. So when I talk about ratio and proportion, right? Alright, हिंदी ऑल्सो ओके. सो जब भी हम रेशियो एंड प्रोपोर्शन की बात करते हैं राइट, तो इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट यूनिट राइट, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. व्हाई आई से इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज एटलीस्ट आई एम जस्ट सेइंग एटलीस्ट वन क्वेश्चन यू विल सी इन योर एग्जामिनेशन राइट. नाउ समटाइम्स क्या होता है कि when you give the exam and you comes back, you find there is no question of ratio and proportion, right? And I'm saying at least one question, right? At least means it starts from one, right? So ratio and proportion का क्या है, क्या कि कई questions जो कि percentage के, time and work के, अलग अलग units के होते हैं, can easily be done by the ratio and proportion. That we are going to see. We are going to solve such questions also. It's not that we are very focused on ratio and proportion. ऐसा नहीं है. But my first aim is to you should understand the concepts, कि सारे concepts समझे. Then we'll try to optimize, that is by tricks or whatever the means we have in the markets, right? Because I know people directly jumps on this rather than this, which I don't want to do it. I always prefer this. Then if we can optimize the solutions, right? There are various perspective of a problem, right? कोई किसी perspective से देख रहा है, कोई किसी perspective से देख रहा है. That we cannot change, and it's a good way, right? We get many solutions out of it, and whatever is the optimized solution which can be done in a very less time, we try to pick that, right? So but first we'll try to understand the concepts of ratio and proportion, whatever the theory we have. Then we'll try to optimize them, and then we'll be solving the questions, right? Don't worry about the questions also, like मेरे पास almost I have a question bank of 350 questions. If you want me to solve entire 350 questions, it's great. But if you want to try something, then we can discuss that also be possible, right? So let's start with ratio and proportion now before much time. So what is ratio? देखिए होता क्या है, क्या sometimes we have to define relations, or sometimes we have to express some quantities in terms of other quantities. For example, simple सी वे में बात करें, अगर हम बोले 7x is equals to 7y, और इसको बोलने का तरीका ये भी हो सकता था कि that x is always 7 times y, right? X is always 7 times y. To depict these kind of relation, we need to have a quantity, and that quantity is called as ratio, right? If you want to represent something in terms of times, no, this is 7 times, 8 times, right? We need a quantity for that, right? And that is nothing but a ratio, right? You may be, see, I just want to clear that confusion also. So when you talk fractions, right? Fraction is nothing but when you divide a unit or anything into several parts, then particular individual becomes a fraction, right? In a form of p by q, right? And rational numbers are nothing but when this p by q, where q is not equals to 0, then it becomes a rational number, right? So these are the different quantities. You should know what is ratio. Ratio is simple, right? It's just the way of representations for us, right? That is, if I have to represent 7 is, oh sorry, x is always 7 times y, then I can use this relation and I can define that x by 7 is always what? 7 is to y. Or I can write x is to y is nothing but 7 is to y. Now इसका मतलब क्या है? देखो, इसका मतलब इंटरप्रेट करने के लिए तरीके बहुत हो सकते हैं, राइट? इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर जब जब x 7 होगा, y 1 होगा. If x is 7, y will always be 1. Or if I can write जब जब y 1 होगा, x is always be 7. This is same thing, right? But क्या यही possible things हैं? No. Because relation says कि आपको x क्या है? 7 times y. इट्स नॉट गिविंग यू द वैल्यू कि x1 है और y क्या है 7. इट्स जस्ट सेइंग जब जब x को कुछ भी लोगे y उसका 7 टाइम्स होगा. अगर आप x को 1 ले रहे हो तो y ऑटोमेटिकली 7 हो गया. सॉरी इफ आप y को 1 ले रहे हो x ऑटोमेटिकली 7 हो गया. अगर आप y को 2 ले रहे हो तो x ऑटोमेटिकली 14 हो गया. अगर आप y को 3 ले रहे हो तो x ऑटोमेटिकली 21 हो गया. सो दिस रिलेशन एग्जिस्ट लाइफ टाइम. ये तो चलता रहेगा अनंत तक है, राइट. सो रेशियो इज नथिंग बट way of representation where we represent the quantities in times or some ways, right? So ratio nothing but I just define it, x is to y or x is to y. In fraction you called it as numerator and this as denominator, but in ratio you called x as antecedent and y as consequent. Correct? कितनी बात समझ में आती है आप लोगों को? क्या बात समझ में आती है? लेट्स स्टार्ट दिस यूनिट. ओके, सो पहला कॉन्सेप्ट आपको समझना है कैलकुलेशन ऑफ रेशियो. कैलकुलेशन ऑफ रेशियो दैट इज परसेंटेज. कैलकुलेशन ऑफ रेशियो इनटू परसेंटेज. ओके, फॉर एग्जांपल आपको 4/5 दिया है एंड यू हैव टू फाइंड आउट कि ये कितना परसेंटेज है. You simply what you do is simply multiply by 100. So how much it is? It is 80%. Okay, 1/5 is how much? You just multiply by 100, you get what? 20%. So 20 plus 80 gives you 100%, right? Like this. Now second thing is ulta, calculation of ratio from percentage. From percentage, right? You are been given the percentage, now you have to calculate the ratio. So for example, let's say here 80% is given, right? So what you do, you know that 80% is from 100%. So what you do, you know this can be represented 0.8 in the decimal way, you know, right? 80 divided by 100 is how much? 0.80, correct? And which is nothing but, if you know that, you can write as 80 by 100 and you know that it is 4/5. Or let's say you want me to give a good question, 46.57%, right? Let's say you want to solve this. तो क्या करेंगे अपन? We know that we have to shift it to the unitary method. So इसको shift करने का हम पे क्या होगा कि 0.4657, this is the decimal value of this percentage, correct? Now you know that 4657 divided by how much? 10,000. Just simplify it, you get when you simplify it, so now that becomes a challenge for you, right? But if you're understanding, this is 4,000 something and this is 10,000 something, right? So if you want to go with the approximation, you can write it as 4/10 kind of. But actually if you solve this, if you cut it and all this, you will get approximately I think 34/73, correct? I don't want to increase the calculation here, I just want to show you the concept कि अगर आपके पास रेशियो है तो आपको परसेंटेज पे कैसे जाना है, आपके पास परसेंटेज है तो आपके पास रेशियो पे कैसे जाना है. क्या इतनी बात आपको समझ में आती है? इट्स अ वेरी बेसिक, कोई क्वेश्चन पे ऐसा चाहेगा नहीं, बट यू शुड नो द बेसिक्स, राइट? आई टोल्ड यू कि कंसेप्ट हमको आना चाहिए, यूटिलाइजेशन हम उसका बाद में देखेंगे. आर अंडरस्टैंडिंग? ओके, let's start with the properties of ratios. Okay, properties of ratios, very important, right? This properties of ratio is the complete heart of this ratio and proportion, right? This is the main center workflow of this ratio and proportion, so you should understand it very clearly. First property is like if you multiply and divide, let's say talks about multiply, let's say when you multiply any number, right, to the ratio, it is unchanged, nothing but if you have a by b and you multiply by some constant and you divide by this, you multiply the denominator with the same constant, it again the same thing only, correct? So you can multiply ratio, antecedent and its consequent विद द सेम कांस्टेंट, कोई इश्यू नहीं है. सिमिलर वे डिवाइड भी आप कर सकते हो. सो इफ a by b is the ratio, you can a by m upon b by m. Correct? I think it's very obvious, right? For example, if you have, let's say 2 by 1 is the ratio. So if I multiply by 2 here, so what you got? 4 by 2, which is nothing but 2 by 1 only. As simple as that. For example, if you have here is 5 by 10 and I divided by 5, 10 by 5, I think it becomes 1 by 2. And again it was 1 by 2 only. Understanding? Ratio and proportion में तो क्या खास बात होती है? See, this is very simple, right? You can understand 1 by 2 and 5 by 10 is the same thing. But sometimes you will have the same, you will have the same what you call as ratios, but you won't be finding that ये दोनों same ratios हैं. By 1 by 2, 5 by 2, you can easily find out. For example, I write 34 by 73 and I write 4657 by this. क्या आपको कभी भी सपना आ सकता है कि ये दोनों सेम रेशियो है? बट इसकी खूबसूरती भी इस यूनिट की यही है कि ऐसी चीज़ें हम पता कर पाते हैं. करेक्ट? सो कई बार एजम्पशंस, क्योंकि रेशियो एंड प्रोपोर्शन क्या है, इट्स वेरी रिलेटिव क्वांटिटी. रेशियो इज ऑलवेज अ रिलेटिव क्वांटिटी अकॉर्डिंग टू मी. क्योंकि क्या होता है, आप ऐसे समझो, अगर मैं थोड़ा सा इधर समझाना चाहूँ आपको कि ऐसे फॉर एग्जांपल आप कह रहे हो कि आपके पास कुछ 100 है एंड रेशियो इज 7:1. ओके, लेट्स से रेशियो इज 7:1. ओके, सो हम अज्यूम कर लें अगर 100 है तो हमको पता है कि 71 के पास सो हमको पता है कि क्या है कि 7:1 अगर रेशियो है तो हमको पता है 7x + 1x बराबर 100. सो 8x इज इक्वल्स टू 100. सो x इक्वल्स टू 100 by 8. सो 7 के पास क्या हुआ 100 by 8 into 7 और 1 के पास क्या हुआ 1 into 100 by 8. आई अंडरस्टैंडिंग? तो अगर हम अज्यूम कर रहे हैं कि 100 है तो ये कैलकुलेशन भी हमारी क्या है, परफेक्ट है. सो वी आर गेटिंग सम वैल्यूज. सो दीज आर द वन कोऑर्डिनेट्स यू कैन से फॉर दिस रेशियो, राइट? और जब हमको एक वैल्यू पता चल जाती है तो आप मानिए कि हमारा क्वेश्चन बहुत आसान हो जाता है. सो दिस इज आई कॉल्ड एज अजम्पशन थ्योरी. आई विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस मच हियर बिकॉज रेशियो एंड प्रपोर्शंस में अगर आप अजम्पशन थ्योरी सही लगा पा रहे हैं, दिस इज ब्रह्मास्त्र, राइट? क्योंकि यू विल फाइंड दिस मिक्सचर क्वेश्चंस कि इतना वाटर है, इतना मिल्क है, फिर क्या क्या है, देयर आर मॉडिफिकेशंस ऑफ इट, alloy mixing modifications to it, right? So if you are very familiar with the assumption theory, तब आपका क्या क्वेश्चन ईजी हो जाएगा, राइट? सो रेशियो एंड प्रोपोर्शन की एक खूबसूरती है कि आप assumption सही से लीजिए. समटाइम्स आप assumption सही से नहीं ले पाते हैं. दैट आई शो दैट केस ऑल्सो कि assumption आपने क्या गलत ले लिया एंड आंसर भी आया है एंड इट्स देयर इन द ऑप्शन, बट इट्स नॉट. आपको assumption ऐसे लेना है कि आप वैलिडेट भी कर रहे हैं. यू आर वैलिडेटिंग दैट दिस इज करेक्ट 7:1, राइट? इसके बारे में बात करेंगे, लेकिन क्या अभी तक आपको क्या बात समझ में आई कि व्हाट इज रेशियो, हाउ वी कैलकुलेट इनटू द परसेंट, देन कैलकुलेशन ऑफ रेशियो फ्रॉम परसेंटेज, इफ वी मल्टीप्लाई एंड डिवाइड बाय दीज थिंग्स, आर दिस क्लियर टू यू? अभी तक हमने इतना किया है, राइट? Okay, let's start with the other thing, right? Okay, so when I write ratio of two fractions, now क्या हो सकता है, ज़रूरी नहीं कई बार 7:1 ऐसी काइंड ऑफ रेशियो आपको मिले. आपको 1:7:1 by 8 भी मिल सकता है, आपको 2/3:4/4 8 भी मिल सकता है, राइट? फ्रैक्शंस में भी रेशियो मिल सकते हैं, राइट? सो प्रॉब्लम क्या है भाई, इसका मतलब क्या था 7/1, इसका मतलब क्या होगा 1/7/1/8, इसका मतलब क्या है 2/3/4/8. कोई इशू? कोई इशू? आपको पता है ये क्या हो जाएगा 8/7. ये क्या हो जाएगा, यू नो दिस, 2 × 8/4 × 3, करेक्ट? कोई इसमें इशू है रेशियो ऑफ टू फ्रैक्शंस में? Is any issue with it? So you can write it A by B is C by D. I know that it is nothing but A by B upon C by D. I know that it is AD upon BC. कोई problem, right? So let's go ahead. Now, can I write? Okay, let me rephrase this here. Let me see how many of you are getting this ratio proportion. Okay, I'll just say one statement. Let me know if you can do. So if you are thinking here 1 by 7, 1 by 8, if I took a ratio, it becomes 8 by 7, which is integer. Again, in this down is an integer. So can I say ratio of two fraction is always, remember, ratio of two fraction is always a integral ratio. What I mean is कि ratio of fraction क्या always एक ratio होगा, integer मतलब means it is integer, this is integer, or can it be a ratio of fraction again? So my question was, ratio of two fraction will always be integral ratio, is true or false? क्या लगता है आपको? True? True or false? Okay, so let's take some examples, right? So give me the values, right? Let's say 3 by 2, 4 by 6. So again, if you do 3 by 2, 4 by 6, how much it is? 3 into 6, 2 into 4, how much is it? 3, 6, 18, 2, 4, 8. It's an integral ratio. So is it always true? No. The statement is false. The reason is, for example, that is what assumption theory, right? This is assumption you are taking, right? The assumption theory should be applied carefully. ब्रह्मास्त्र को आपको बहुत ध्यान से करना है. For example, if I give, okay, tell me the value of root 3, which is a fraction, right? 1.3, you can write it, right? If I write 1 root 3 by root 2, can it be an, can you express this? Can you express this? No. So sometimes what happens is when you get root 3, root 2, you don't do that, right? You don't multiply with its values, right? For example, root 2a, if I have. So you don't multiply by a with 1 point something, right? You just keep it root 2 so that in sometimes if side is 1 by root 2, you just cancel it out. That is how you do, right? So remember these small things, right? Sometimes the question can be like this, okay? I'm just making it out, okay? Okay, next question is, if we say A by B is compound with itself, A by B is compound with itself, right? So it becomes A square B square. So remember this compound with itself. So it becomes A square B square. इसका क्या मतलब है कि अगर A by compound with itself means gets multiplied by the same ratio, it becomes A square by B square. Also remember this if you have A by B and you get A square B square, this is called as duplicate. If you are getting A cube B cube, it is triplicate. What is then root A by root B? So this is nothing but subduplicate. You called it as subduplicate. Then what is root 3A by root B? Third root, that is subtriplicate. Right? This is just a nomenclature. It's just a nomenclature. क्या आपको अभी तक बात समझ में आ रही है कि हम क्या कर रहे हैं पूरे यूनिट में? We just started with the ratio. We're just seeing some small properties, and these properties will be very useful in the questions. Okay, let's focus on the next property. अगर कल को a बाई बी इज इक्वल्स टू c बाई डी इज इक्वल्स टू e बाई एफ इज इक्वल्स टू g बाई h है, राइट, इफ दिस एग्जिस्ट एंड इट इक्वल्स टू k, तो उस k की वैल्यू क्या हो जाएगी, a प्लस c प्लस e प्लस g अपॉन b प्लस d प्लस f प्लस h. Now this concept is already there in average questions. तो आप कोई क्वेश्चन एवरेज का इधर से भी कर सकते हो, रेशियो एंड प्रोपोर्शन से भी कर सकते हो. दिस इज अ प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ रेशियो, प्योरली प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ रेशियो. अगर आप समझें तो है कुछ भी नहीं. अगर रेशियो इक्वल है तो मतलब ये सेम ही आदमी है, बस चेहरा अलग अलग है. भाई ये कुछ और है, ये कुछ और है, ये कुछ और है, ये कुछ और है, लेकिन इनके मन में क्या है, सेम चीजें. अगर ये 2/1 है तो ये 4/2 होगा, ये 8/4 होगा, और ये 16/4, 8/16/8 होगा. करेक्ट, यही ना होगा, समझिए. बट ये है क्या, ये भी तो 2/1 है, ये भी तो 2/1 है, ये भी तो 2/1 है. सो बेसिकली हमको क्या लेना था, एवरेज. तो के क्या है, एवरेज. कर लीजिए क्वेश्चन को, इसी को सॉल्व कर लीजिए. तो 2 + 4 + 8 + 16 divided by 1 + 2 + 4 + 8. Can you tell me the value of this? 16 + 4 20, 20 + this 30. Tell me the value of this. 10 15. क्या आपको 2 वैल्यू मिली? And which was the answer? क्या प्रॉपर्टी समझ में आई आपको? If a by b, c by d, e by f, something something, then k becomes the answer. Now in average question, when you talk about average, right, what do you do? Total of the quantity, number of quantity. For example, 1 2 3 4, so total of these 4 upon 4. Now there is one concept I will be talking in average only, so I'm just creating a dependency here कि एवरेज में हम इसी से रेशियो एंड प्रोपोर्शन से मिलता है एक और कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़ेंगे, जहाँ हम ऐसे ही बात कर रहे होंगे लेकिन हम बात कर रहे होंगे एवरेज के टर्म्स में. करेक्ट, बट आई विल मेक श्योर कि आप एवरेज एंड एवरेज के क्वेश्चन रेशियो एंड प्रोपोर्शन में सॉल्व कर पाए. अंडरस्टैंडिंग इट. सो एज ऑफ नाउ यू जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड दिस कंसेप्ट कि अगर a by b equals to c by d, समथिंग लाइक दिस, इक्वालिटी होल्ड्स ट्रू, then we can find some value of that k, that is nothing but sum of antecedent plus sum of consequent. क्या आपको मेरी बात समझ में आती है इतनी? ये तो रहा जब इक्वल रहे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ यू हैव अनइक्वल, तब क्या करेंगे सर? फॉर एग्जाम्पल लेट्स से a1 b1, a2 b2, a3 b3, so on an bn है, and they are unequal, and they are unequal ratios. In that case a1 plus a2 plus a3 so on an upon b1 plus b2 plus b3 plus bn is always lies between the lowest and the highest of the ratio. This is one of the best inequality. You should remember that sometimes if you have unequal ratios, then the sum of the antecedent and sum of the consequent always lie in the lowest to the highest ratio. You can check also. I can write equality also. Sometimes equality holds true. Okay, so this is one of the property. You want me to give an example for this? Okay, let's take 2/1, 3/4, 5/6, or I'll take a very easy 2/1 and 3/4. Okay, you want me to take 3/2? I can take it. This is also easy. Okay, I don't want to waste time in calculations. So you know that 2/3, 1 plus 2, how much? 5/3. Correct. So you know that this is 2 and this is 3.1.5. So you know this is what? 1 point this, right? So क्या this 5/3 is lower than 2 but is greater than 1.5. क्या बात समझ में आ रही है? Are you understanding it, everyone? Are you getting it? So this is the important property you have to understand. If you want to recall those properties, you can recall it once. Otherwise, we'll go with the whatever we have in the theory. Then we'll start with the questions. Okay. I want to dedicate this lecture for the concepts. And again, I think I have almost like 2 to 3 optimized solutions concepts. So once we are done with, I think there is nothing left for this ratio and proportion which you can't conquer about it. You can solve every question of it. जब हम क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर रहे होंगे आपको ये तरीका सीखना है कि कैसे किसी क्वेश्चन को अप्रोच भी कर सकते हैं, और आपको दुआ करनी है कि हार्ड क्वेश्चंस आए. व्हेन यू विल बी सॉल्विंग इट यू विल बी लाइक ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा, बट व्हेन वी आर सॉल्विंग इट यू विल बी अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि यार ये क्वेश्चन आने ही चाहिए. ओके ओके सो क्या आपको ये बात समझ में आई जो हमने अभी की कि अगर हम पे अनइक्वल रेशियोज हैं, राइट, अगर हम पे अनइक्वल रेशियोज हैं तो हमको क्या मिलेगा, वो जो रेंज मिलेगी के की वैल्यू विल बी, दिस इज के राइट, विल बी इन बिटवीन the lowest and the highest. So 5/3 is approximately how much? 1.6 something, right? So 1.6 something, so which is greater than this and less than 2. चलें क्या आगे? Alright. Okay, let's talk about the new property. Okay, before I go with this property, right, so this is an inequality I'm talking about. So remember that if a by b is greater than 1, this is also called as ratio of greater inequality. Ratio of greater inequality. This is also called as ratio for greater inequality. And k is some positive number, okay? Remember, if a by b is greater than 1, which is called as ratio of greater inequality, and k is some positive number, then always remember that a plus k, b plus k is always less than a by b. A minus k, b minus k is always greater than a by b. Remember this result. Right? You want me to see, for example, you have 4/2 greater than 1, correct? 4/2 which is greater than 1, let's say k equal to 1, some positive number. When you write 4 plus 1, 2 plus 1, what is it? 5/3, which is approximately 1/6, which is less than 2, which is 2. This is 2/1, right? So 2/1, 4 minus 1, 2 minus 1 is what? 3/1. So 3 is greater than 2. So you can see both 1 and 2 inequality holds true. ये questions कब solve में आते हैं? I tell you, when you are given a situation based questions. If someone integer is there, then you have to find, or you need to compare two values. To compare two values, the comparison is already a result. आपको कुछ भी क्वेश्चन ने कुछ भी थ्योरी दे दी विच इज़ प्रेडिक्टेड, और इन जब आपने इंक्रिप्ट किया तो आपको क्या मिला, ये कहानी मिली, और ये तो रिजल्ट ही है. तो अगर ए ये है, बी ये है, सॉरी एक्स ये है और वाई ये है, तो आपको पता है कि वाई इज ऑलवेज ग्रेटर देन एक्स इज अ रिजल्ट. सो जस्ट मार्क द आंसर एंड मूव ऑन. क्या बात समझ पा रहे हैं मैं क्या बोलना चाह रहा हूँ? मैं बोलना चाह रहा हूँ, रादर देन मी राइटिंग अ थ्योरम or me proving or me writing a result ki if a by b is greater than 1 and k is any positive number such that a plus k, b plus k is always a by b, they may be take like if 4 and 2 are the positive number and when they are divided, right, and k is some number, then if we add those number numerator and denominator, then can you find out the value, right? Some compare those values. So nothing but this is they are asking, right? Okay, let me take this in a question, right? I don't want to spend much time here because I want to first make sure you get all the concepts, all the theory, then we go to the questions. Okay, similar way. So you have seen that if a by b is greater than 1, then I know that a plus k plus b plus k is less than a by b, right? A minus k plus b minus k becomes a greater than a by b. What if a by b is less than 1? In that case, what happens? Ulta happens. In that case, what happens? Ulta happens, that a plus k plus b plus k becomes greater than a by b, and a minus k b minus k becomes less than a by b. Understanding? Are you understanding these properties? Okay, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now the next question is, I think time is there. Okay, so in the next video we'll be discussing the some of the theory again, and after that in the third video we'll be solving the question. So those who want to directly go to the question and want to see the complexity of the questions, they can directly jump to the video 3 of the ratio and proportions. But those who want to continue with the theory and want to have a hands-on on the optimized solutions and the tricks, can continue with the video 2. So video 1 is very basic, where you understand all the all the basics of ratio and proportion. Those who knows is very well, but those who don't know about anything in ratio and proportion, they can go through all this, and will be soon uploading the notes. So stay tuned to the platforms. If you are watching through the app or watching through the YouTube or any other platform, do follow, subscribe, and like it. All right, so we'll meet with the second lecture of this, where we'll be continuing with the theory forward with the this property. Okay, thank you everyone.